Napoleon Bonaparte entered the world on August 15, 1769, in the port town of Ajaccio on the rugged island of Corsica. The island had been under Genoese rule for centuries, but only a year before his birth, it was sold to France. That political shift would change the trajectory of an entire continent. For Napoleon, it meant growing up as a French subject, even though Corsica's identity was fiercely independent and deeply resistant to foreign influence. The tension between his Corsican roots and his French destiny would shape his personality, ambition, and worldview. His parents, Parlo Buonaparte and Letizia Ramolino, came from minor Corsican nobility, not wealthy, not powerless, but balanced in that uncomfortable space between influence and limitation. Carlo was a lawyer, a political dreamer, and a supporter of Corsican nationalist Pasquale Paoli. When Paoli resisted French rule, Carlo initially joined him, but after the French took control, Carlo changed allegiance and secured his family's future by cooperating with the new administration. Many historians believe Napoleon inherited Carlo's pragmatic flexibility, the ability to shift positions swiftly when the winds of opportunity changed. Letizia, on the other hand, was stern, disciplined, and unyielding. She would survive wars, exile, revolution, and the deaths of several children. She managed her household with an iron-like sense of duty. Napoleon often said that whatever inner strength he possessed came from her. Growing up in such a household taught him resilience long before he understood the meaning of command. The Buonaparte family was large. Napoleon was the second of 8 surviving children, and their financial situation was constantly stretched thin. Despite this, Carlo worked tirelessly to secure opportunities for his sons. He knew Corsica offered limited prospects, but France offered the possibility of education, advancement, and power. Everything depended on timing, ambition, and the ability to seize chances as they appeared. Napoleon's early years unfolded against the backdrop of Corsican resistance and tension. He grew up hearing stories of rebellion, pride, and betrayal. He admired Paoli as a boy, yet later aligned fully with France. He was a child of 2 worlds, one built on rustic independence, the other on imperial ambition. As a boy, he wasn't the charming social figure he later became. He was isolated, serious, and occasionally combative. He preferred reading to play, choosing history books over games with other children. Plutarch's Lives, in particular, made a powerful impression on him. He absorbed the stories of Alexander, Caesar, and Hannibal, not as fantasies, but as blueprints. The landscape of Corsica also shaped him. The mountains, the cliffs, the tight coastal roads, and the constant presence of the sea, all of it produced a child comfortable with hardship, discipline, and unpredictability. Napoleon learned to ride, to climb, and to hike through harsh terrain. His body developed strength. His mind developed precision. Everything changed when Carlos secured a scholarship for Napoleon to study in France. In December 1778, at only 9 years old, he left Corsica with his older brother Joseph. Letizia remained behind, heartbroken but resolved. She knew that her son's life would never again be small or local. He was stepping into the world. Napoleon entered the school at Autun to learn French. He arrived speaking Corsican Italian with a thick accent and almost no knowledge of the French language. His classmates mocked him for it. They mocked his accent, his clothes, his manners. The boy who would one day rule Europe began as the outsider, the stranger, the provincial. The teasing carved itself into his character. He hardened. He became inwardly proud, outwardly distant, and fiercely determined never to be belittled again. From Autun, he moved to the military academy at Brienne. There, from 1779 to 1784, he underwent the actual shaping of his identity, not just as a student, but as a future commander. He mastered mathematics, especially geometry and artillery calculations. He gravitated toward military history, always returning to Plutarch's heroes. Yet he remained aloof, often preferring solitude over socializing. Teachers noted his intensity. Classmates noted his temper. He didn't fit in, and he didn't want to. But there was something undeniable, a force, an ambition, a spark. The instructors saw it before he did. They described him as alternately brilliant and fierce. A boy whose mind moved too quickly for the conventional rhythms of school life. He could be stubborn, arrogant, argumentative, but also insightful, strategic, and astonishingly driven. These early years forged the inner architecture of Napoleon's personality. The humiliation of being mocked for his accent gave him the hunger to dominate. The disciplined home life built by Letizia taught him self-control. The political flexibility of Carlo taught him adaptability. Corsica gave him the resilience of a mountain child. France gave him the tools of an empire. In the closing years of his childhood, the shadows of revolution began to rise over France. Economic collapse, political chaos, social unrest, all of it formed the soil from which his future would grow. The world he was about to enter was unraveling, and the cracks in the old order would become the doors through which he would one day walk as a conqueror. At age 15, Napoleon graduated from Brienne and was accepted into the École Militaire in Paris, the elite academy that trained France's future officers. His time there would set the stage for everything that followed: his mastery of artillery, his strategic brilliance, and eventually his rise beyond anything his parents could have imagined. The child on Corsica, mocked for his accent, overlooked by society, shaped by the sharpness of mountains and the discipline of a determined mother, was now on the first steps of a path that would alter the destiny of Europe.